I work, publish a food blog in Chicago, and obviously there were some blogging issues with the announcement. But with the new media and technology, is it something that has changed the way you guys are planning on doing this stuff moving forward?
Well, there's a lot of people who want to talk about the Michelin Guide. There's a lot of people who look for it for the result, and some people who look for the result. What is interesting is, we're still having 26 guides around the year. Guides around the world, and it's an annual selection, so every year we do actually the same. We have inspectors, we go to the restaurants, we pay the bill, trying to remain anonymous. Then we write text, we have star meeting, then we send the text outside, we'll come back, we do the printer, then we send actually the book when it's finished to the network and distributors. So it could happen at one stage or the other. It's not a Harry Potter once, that you keep very secret. I think we manage quite well around the world, and sometimes yes, it could happen. The book could be sold in advance, or selection could go on a leak, and that's what happened here. But at the end of the day, people were still waiting for my phone calls, and the chef was still really looking for this phone call, and some of them were actually waiting in advance, have me on speakerphone for the team, or were ready in the morning, and they only got emotional after they received the phone call, the confirmation from me that they got a star.
I don't think Yelp carries that kind of weight these days. The question also that everyone's asking is about L20, given the shakeup there, which was announced after the announcements. How does that affect the star rating, especially given the chef's quote that says the reason why he's leaving is because the direction of the restaurant is not matching up with his vision?
Well, there's a lot of, it's always difficult. When a chef is not attached as an owner of a place, it's always difficult, and we always question mark. But if we only reveal the chef who owned the restaurant, there would be a lot of chefs that we're going to miss around the world. And obviously the fact that Laurent decided to leave will have an impact on the restaurant. But at the same time, it is really, we've been there 10 times this year, and we've been when times Laurent used to cook, and we've been times where Laurent was not there. And personally I went there twice, and one where he was cooking, and the other time he was not cooking. It's a teamwork, and there's a great team in his restaurant. So obviously I hope that people will continue to go there. It will be a great experience for the people who are going to pick up our guide. But then this restaurant will be reviewed by inspectors again, and it's going to be reviewed in the coming months. And next year we'll see if Laurent Gras, L20 without Laurent Gras, still deserve to maintain as a 3-star with a great team in the back, or is going to drop the stars. We'll see.
So I guess to follow up on that, the difference between a 2-star and a 3-star restaurant when it comes to the executive chef and the chef's vision, how much weight does the chef and the chef's vision for the restaurant, for the food, play a role apart and beyond quality, consistency, and premium in every way?
Well, obviously the vision of the chef and the talent of the chef is very important, and Grant will say exactly the same. I mean, his dedication to excellence all the time, but you're only excellent as your team, and you could have a great vision, and more or less, I mean, these chefs are traveling as well, being away for a specific reason, charity dinner or gastronomy place around the world, and obviously why they're not there, they're still open for public, and among the consumer there might be some Michelin inspectors. So obviously we're not looking what's the name on the door, we're not looking what is the reputation of the chef, we're looking really what is inside. We're not looking what's behind the stove, we're looking what is inside the plate. And that's a very important issue. And so obviously when we give 3 stars, we give 3 stars to dedication, to excellence, and we recognize the chef could be there or the chef could not be there. But we've been there when the chef was there or not there. So it's really a matter of ensuring the team is able to maintain the excellence level.
Gotcha. And I understand. I guess I understand the role of the chef being present in the restaurant versus not being physically present in the restaurant. But overall, from menu selection, from concept to plate, the chef plays a role beyond the execution of the specific dishes. He obviously has a restaurant that's capable. The 2-star restaurants, the 1-star restaurants, many restaurants are good examples of those types of brigade. It's the kitchen. It's the power of the kitchen. That said, when it does come to the higher level and the highest levels of restaurants, chef vision and chef personality comes through whether he's there or not. Now that the chef is no longer with the restaurant, does that have a distinct effect on perception of that restaurant moving forward, good or bad?
Obviously we'll see. Our inspectors will go there and try the restaurants. But if you look at the numbers of stars around the world, if you look at the numbers of stars that Alain Ducasse has, or numbers of stars that Joël Rouchon which is the one who's got the most around the world. You could have some restaurant where you have 3, and you could have some restaurant with 2, you could have some restaurant with 1. It's not depending on the name of the door, it's just of the vision, because they're actually the same. But it's really about the team who's cooking for him.
Gotcha. And I know the other question that people have been asking me is about Avec, which is a popular restaurant here, and well-loved restaurant that had to be closed for business during the final deliberations. I don't know, did the fire and the timing of that have anything to do with their selection or non-selection?
We love Avec. We've been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's one of these great restaurants, and obviously we were very shocked by the fire, like everybody else. The fact that we didn't know exactly at the time of the reopening of the restaurant, and we didn't want to take a risk. I mean, we never actually published a guide which a restaurant was just not open.
Right.
It would have been very well seen. So
Gotcha.
we know Avec. We've been there. It's a matter of, I mean, we stopped our selection in September. We were not too sure when the restaurant was going to be open. We launched our guide right now. It's been open like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. Obviously, our inspectors will be back, and I'm sure Avec will be in the guide next year. We'll definitely not do sans, which is as a word of Avec. It will be Avec the guide next year.
Right, terrific. And I guess the follow-up to that is Longman and Eagle gets a lot of people ask questions about that. That's always been a favorite of mine. So I'm not surprised. But again, is that the announcement that we're going to talk about today? Is that one of the surprises of the guide? Or?
Well, it's funny. I mean, you know, there's always places where people will say, "Oh, how did they get a star?" And you get a star, and it's really in comparison with the others. I mean, we're talking about a gastropub. We're talking about a place which is, if you go there for beer, yes, obviously you will have a good beer. But if you go for food, you will have great food. And we have people who actually travel all the way from the UK to try Spotted Pig in New York and try this place here and to see if it was exactly the same level as a gastropub in England where we have stars as well. So we just say, yes, it's a great gastropub, yes, it deserves to be mentioned with a star, and yes, it's a good gastropub food. And I know 1 star means a good restaurant in this category, and it's really at the same level than the one we have across Europe. And I know Spotted Pig at the beginning in New York was like a lot of talk about it. Trust me, now it's one of the most busy places in New York, and I'm sure that this restaurant here, Jared, was very happy when I called him, and he's going to be an incredible thing, but he's going to have to suffer a couple of months until people understand why he's going to start.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess to that point, another question that I had was, considering the amount of 1-star restaurants in San Francisco, for example, why so few in Chicago when there are restaurants left out like Le Nomade and North Pond? And, I mean, people can go on, and they do, about restaurants that they see at least as deserving a star. And I know there's a gap between the Bib Gourmand from a price point and the star rating, and one is not necessarily akin to the other, but...
Well, you know,
why so few?
We give the stars when we find them, and trust me, the inspectors, when they go to restaurants, they look for the stars. And the expression that when they come back, they say, "Well, we couldn't find the star," which means that they're really looking for to find one. And it's, you know, it's a matter of maybe it was a wrong day, maybe, you know, there's always a good reason not to get a star. But you know, we start San Francisco 5 years ago, and today there's as many stars as you said, 42, and only a few here. I mean, 23 for the first year is not bad, and we know that each year the selection will get wider because we're going to expand the territories, and San Francisco is a huge territory, Napa Valley to Los Gatos, and Chicago is only a Chicago center for the beginning, and then we continue to go around the suburbs. So I am confident that from now on, in 5 years' time, on the 5th edition of Chicago, there will be more stars here in San Francisco.
Great. Because I'm not familiar enough with the guides in other cities. How many Mexican restaurants are starred restaurants? Is Bayless the first Mexican restaurant to get a star?
I think so.
Really?
Absolutely. Rick is the first one to get, and obviously it's the first one to get a Bib Gourmand and a star at the same time. And a Bib Gourmand is a very important thing. So we only have 2,000 Bib Gourmand around the world, and we have about 2,800 stars. So Rick Bayless is an happy man today. I think he's got he's recognized around the world as a great chef, and now he's recognized as holding 2 restaurants in almost the same place.
Right. Well, you
one
can
being
order
a Bib Gourmand and one being a star.
And you can order off the Topolo menu while you're sitting at the bar front here.